Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Songwriting Simplified with me, Jonny Lipsham, here at jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk here in the southeast corner of Scotland. And of course, everybody knows where Scotland is. Scotland is, of course, the centre of everything. Literally everything. You open a bar of chocolate, you look down the length of it, down the centre of it is Scotland. So that's probably the silliest one I've ever done. But there we go. I hope everybody is doing well and has had a good week so far. So here we are. And we are racing into already the second week of January. You know what that means? There's only 50 weeks left until the end of the year. So let's just set that in perspective. And also, another thing to suggest is that I believe spring is only 80 something days away. So, you know, we've gone past the shortest day of the year. Nights are getting shorter, days are getting longer, things are getting brighter. So things are looking up as we head into 2024. And it's looking like 2024 is going to be brewing up to be a pretty awesome year for a lot of reasons. Not least of which, Neil says, and then after studying that bar of chocolate, we eat Scotland. You taste and see it. Scotland is good, is what happens. And of course, you never actually end up eating Scotland, because Scotland never ends. Anyway, Kyle says we need to start that next Christmas challenge. Yes, we kind of do, don't we? We're kind of in a bit of a hurry now. But so I hope everyone is all right and has had a great week. There's some very, very funny chat going on. You guys are hilarious. Billy was first in the door, followed by Sean Aaron and John Lake. Just Bob is also here, although he says he's going to be late, and we'll watch the replay because when he gets home he needs to address a plumbing issue. Have fun with that. I hope you don't get too wet. And I hope it doesn't, I hope it goes well and you get it sorted out. Ron Figura is here. He says, good to be here to be good. You know what? That's a rather fantastic slogan. I might just appropriate that. I think that's cool. John Huck is here and he says, hail. Hail is also good. Created by updrafts in severe thunderstorms. Chris Mrackner is here. He says, where am I? Is this the place? It must be because I see some of my favorite peeps. There you go. It's as if you've just walked into like your favorite coffee shop or your favorite pub and all your mates are just sat around a big table and we're all talking about songwriting together. That's kind of the way I see it. I think it's a good way to look at it. So thanks for that, Chris. Tony Stringer is here as well. He says, have a nice time. I'll investigate you tomorrow. You're going to investigate me. My God, I didn't realize that you work for the feds, Tony. I better make sure that all of that dodgy stuff is kind of hidden away under the mattress. And I'm not talking about that dodgy stuff. I don't have any of that dodgy stuff. Kyle is here, who is doing chicken impressions, which has got to be a Songwriting Simplified first. Neil Thompson is here. He says, Songwriters Simplicus. Oh, I like that. That's got to be somebody's family motto, I'm sure. And we got Keith from Radio Talk Frumpet, who is misspelling hello in Spanish, but that's all right. We got Brett Marler here. He says, got some errands to run, so I'll be listening passively. Okay. And we got Don Oliver here as well. And we got Paul Morgan, who says, good evening. Good evening to you, Paul. I hope you're doing well. And let's see, who else do we have? We've got Bobby Booth here, and we got is that AI Shine? Or Al Shine? Looks like AI to me. I think it's AI Shine. Hello to you, and I'm glad you're here. I think you're new to my show. I don't think I've seen your name before, so welcome. This is the show where we talk about songwriting, we talk about arranging, we talk about composing, we talk about music theory, and speaking of which, we have some music theory that we're going to delve into tonight. But as always, whenever I talk about music theory, I don't make it high and lofty. I make it down to earth and practical, things that you can go and apply to your songwriting pretty much straight away. And just add to your toolkit of things to use for making music. So that's kind of what we do here. And Peter Brooks is waving with a very large pink hand. That's hilarious. Hello, Pete. How you doing? Good to see you. And I think I've got to the bottom of the chat. And that's pretty cool. All right, so let's get started. So I said that we would talk about harmony a wee bit for the next week or two, because I think it's a topic worth revisiting for a number of reasons. If I give you like some harmonic tools that you can apply pretty much to any genre of music, it's going to expand what you can do, not just with harmony, not just with chords, but also what you can do with melody, because the more rich your harmony is, the more rich your chord changes are, the more notes and tones you have available for melody writing. And of course, the more notes you've got for melody writing, also the more possibilities you've got for approaching those notes. So you've not just got the notes, you've got approach notes as well. You know, you can approach any note from above or below, or you can enclose it with a note from below, a note from above, and then the note, the target note that you're going for. That's called an enclosure. You can have diatonic enclosures, you can have chromatic enclosures. But that's a whole nother subject. That's all kind of melody stuff. But harmony and melody, they work hand in hand together. They are kind of like the gear, the cogwheels of the gear that winds the mechanism that we call songwriting, that makes music happen. It's where all the magic is with harmony and melody. So this is why harmony is so important. So a lot of people, you know, they may only know just like a few chords on the guitar, maybe A, E, D, G, C, and maybe A minor and E minor. And maybe that's the extent of your harmonic vocabulary. It's quite a simple harmonic vocabulary. You can write a lot of songs with that harmonic vocabulary, for sure. A lot of great hit pop songs have been written just using just those chords. So what I'm going to be advocating for is expanding that harmonic palette, expanding that vocabulary that you've got, so that you can say either really simple things more effectively, or you can say complex things with a lot of authority and a lot of command. That means that your listener is going to pay attention, is going to sit up and listen to what you've got to say. So what am I going to talk about tonight, now that I've kind of got all of that preamble out of the way? Carl says there are certain notes I would never approach in a dark alley. Yeah, certainly D flat is probably one of those. So what I'm going to talk about is something that I learned from two great composers and musicians. Composer number one is John Coltrane. Composer number two is John Williams. They are both Johns, which I think is pretty cool. So John Coltrane, John Williams, and they both have this particular harmonic device in common in their music. And it's a great little device. It borrows chords that do not belong to the key that you're in, but it does it in a way that provides color, that can really bring some extra life and some extra surprise elements to melody writing, because now you can use notes that don't belong to your key and make them fit, so they don't sound chromatic, they sound diatonic. So that's what we're going to do. And so this technique is called, it's called many things, but in a simple way of saying it, it's called thirds related chord changes. What does that mean? That means we're using chords that are related by either a minor third or a major third. And so technically they are probably not actually relatives to each other diatonically, but the intervallic relationship between one chord and the other is either a minor third or a major third. So for example, if I play this C here, then the major third above that is going to be E, but the minor third above the C is going to be an E flat or a D sharp, depending upon your outlook on life. So that's what I'm talking about. It's the intervallic relationship between the roots of these chords and how you can make something sound really warm and rich and vibrant and provide you with some extra chromatic tone colors that can really kind of lift a melody, lift lyrics as well, and provide some atmosphere to your music. So let me demonstrate how these work a wee bit. I'm going to bend the mic, bring the mic out this way a wee bit. So let's say we are in C major. I'll turn this up just a fraction so I can hear it. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to do two chords related by a major third. So in this case, going from C to E. Don't they sound gorgeous? Nice and rich. So there's the C major. There's the E. Now, what I like about these two chords is you've got, particularly if I'm voicing the C major in the root position, and then I've got the E major in the second inversion. What I've got here is I've got this G at the top here that then rises by a semitone, and then it goes back. So you've got kind of this, it's still light in color because they're major chords, but what you've got is you've got this kind of brightness that gets warmer. So to me, this is kind of like two different shades of yellow. So let's say you are wanting to score some music for a scene where you've got somebody standing on the beach, and the waves are very gently just lapping up onto the beach. The sun is setting, and so the character in the center of this scene is standing there looking out to the horizon, to the distance. Maybe they're watching a loved one sail away into the distance on a boat, and they're watching that boat go over the horizon. Bottom up, obviously, because the earth is not flat. But they are kind of observing this scene, looking out to sea, looking out to the horizon with the sun setting. So maybe you've got two different camera angles. You've got one that is looking across the beach with the character in the center of the shot looking across the beach with the sun kind of off to the side of the shot. And then maybe your second angle is looking from behind your character, looking out to sea, seeing what they see, but from a little bit further behind. So you've got two different shades of light and two different shades of yellow. So this is where this kind of mediant or thirds related chords can really provide, aural listening, musical illustration to that kind of sound, to that kind of visual. So C major. So this is like the shot across the beach, and then this is the shot from behind the character, looking out to sea. So where could we go with this particular kind of major thing? Well, you could then kind of take the bass line descending and just provide a little bit of kind of melancholic tension to this little scene. Maybe it's a little bit bittersweet. So we could go C to the E major. We could repeat that a couple of times. Let's take the bass down chromatically, so we'll do an E flat major but with the B flat in the bass. Then we'll go F with the A in the bass. And then we'll go E over G sharp. Then we'll go A with the seventh, the G in the bass. D over F sharp with the second in the chord. Then we'll go F major to keep in that C major kind of fold. Then we'll go C over E. And then we'll do a 2-5-1. And now we're back where we started. Even do this. B flat with the E flat in the bass, then to the 2-5-1. And so on and so forth. So that's kind of using a major third, mediant kind of set of chord changes. So I hope everybody kind of understands that. So let's develop this idea. We've done it with major, so now let's see if can we do this with minor, and kind of what does that sound like. So let's change the mood. We're no longer with this beach scene. We've moved away from that beach scene, and maybe the person has now left the beach, the sun has gone down, and maybe they're now at home, and they're kind of maybe a little bit sadder than they were. They were more melancholic on the beach, and now they're maybe a little bit more sad, and it's maybe a little bit more lonely and a little bit darker maybe. So let's go to C minor. So we got a couple of choices here. Now this one here is obviously the relative major, so going C minor, E flat, that's kind of fairly standard, fairly normal. But what if we did this? You know how we went to the C, from the C major to the E major? How about we go C major to E, C minor to E minor. Pretty dark now. So we've got C minor. We're still keeping this intervallic relationship that's kind of major, so it's kind of still C to E, but this time they're minor chords. All right, but you can also shift it the other way. So instead of going up, we can go down. So we can keep that minor thing. Now this is really kind of uber dark. If you really want to kind of make it black, like your character is now sitting on the sofa hands in their, head in their hands, head between their legs. The lights are off, the curtains are closed. Despair has really set in. So that's kind of the power that thirds related chords can have to your music. So you can kind of have different shades of light, and you can kind of shift kaleidoscopically between these different kind of shades of light, or you can kind of do that in reverse but with darkness. So you can go, C, E minor. Now this one's a favorite of John Williams's in particular. You hear this a lot in Star Wars. So, So you hear that quite a bit in Star Wars. It's very, very effective. And John Williams was by no means original when he came up with this idea and used it a lot. Where did he get it from? He got it from his old mate, Gustav Holst. Gustav Holst used that a lot. You hear it in the Planets suite quite a bit, particularly in Neptune, which is kind of like the slowest and most atmospheric of all of the pieces, but you also hear it in Saturn a little bit as well. But that idea is definitely very prevalent in Neptune. And that's kind of the minor version that you hear in Neptune. So we've kind of played about with just moving between two chords. How can we extend this idea? So let's go back to the major, because, I mean, really, quite honestly, the minor one is dark. So let's go back to... So how can we extend this? Well, let's maybe keep going up in major thirds and see kind of what happens. So let's go C to E. Then we'll go to G sharp. And then, well, the next major third round is back to C, because major thirds are kind of, well, they're kind of in threes, and there's no real way around that. So, you'd be going. Yeah, there's just no real, because once you get to here, the next one round is there, so. So it's kind of a little bit kind of awkward. So you can change it. So you can break the rule, and instead of going from a major third interval, go for a minor third interval. And then this provides you with a B chord. So you could go G sharp and then B. And then that's kind of like the leading tone back up to C again. And then you're kind of back round again. But you could just keep going. You could keep going up in, because now that you kind of started a new cycle. So you could. And then on here, on this B, now, where's the next one? E flat. And then where's the next one after that? G. Then where's the next after that? The next after that is back on that B, but let's break the rule. Let's go to B flat. And then D, and then F, and then A, and then C. We're back round again. So you can keep going round those cycles of thirds related chords, and you can get this kind of, it does sound a little unusual, I'll grant you that. So you could maybe go through maybe two different ideas, two different key centers maybe. And you can then kind of move between these different shades of light. And, certainly if the topic of your song is kind of, it's happy, but it's also kind of a little sad at the same time, then certainly this kind of, C major to E major kind of works quite nice. This time I've got the third at the top. course, the other thing that is useful about this C to E thing is, watch this. You can go C. Everyone should recognize these chords. C, E, A minor, F. Very, very popular set of chord changes in popular song. So there will be, I should think, if you recognized a song from hearing those chord changes, put it in the chat. And I'm pretty sure that we'll have several different suggestions of what those could represent. I'll play them again. So I'm fairly confident that you guys are going to come up with a few different suggestions of what songs might fit those kind of that kind of idea, going from 1, 3, 6, 4, 1. It's very popular, and so of course you can do the minor version of that as well. Works just as well. 1, 3, 6, 4. Okay, now, speaking of popular songs, there is a song we should have played right at the very start of the show. And I'm only going to play a couple of bars of it because I don't think it'd be very fair to, and that is this very, very popular tune. I think the person who should recognize that tune is Mr. Billy Morgan, because today is his birthday. So we ought to be saying a very big happy birthday to Billy Morgan. And so, befitting of his age, we will do it like this. There you go, Billy. Happy birthday to you, buddy. I hope you've been having a really fantastic day so far. But there you go, thirds related chords. I hope that that has been helpful to you. Meadow Rain. Yeah, that could certainly be an option. Never hit your grandma with a shovel. I don't know that song. You already broke the rule when you went to G. The next minor third was G flat. Yes. Yep. It would have been G flat. You're right. So yeah, there are many ways to skin that particular thirds related cat. It's a really useful device. Like I said, John Williams used it quite a bit. And as I said, John Coltrane is the other famous user of it, except he kind of did, instead of thirds related chords, he would do thirds related key centers. So for example, the chord changes to Giant Steps features key centers that are related by thirds. So it starts in B, then it goes to E flat, then it goes to G, and then it goes back. And those are the chord changes. Those are the key centers, and basically everything is a 2-5-1 to get you to those key centers. And it goes through those at breakneck speed. I think the fastest I've ever played Giant Steps is 320 beats a minute, which, trust me, is very, very fast. And when you consider the fact that each chord change it's like 2 beats per chord, so you're through all of those chords very, very quickly. And so if you're improvising, you basically only have the chance to pick maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 notes for each chord. So this is where kind of learning things like pentatonic patterns is very, very helpful, because you can just use those pentatonic patterns on those chord changes to basically help you get through at that particular speed, because 320 beats a minute is ludicrously fast. But it's very, very good fun to play and very challenging to play as well. So giant steps, thirds related chords, thirds related key centers, and they're kind of a little bit magical. I like them. Certainly the minor version is pretty dark, so only use it if you're writing, a fairly dark song. And if you are, make sure to find some way of bringing at least a couple of shafts of light into it as well. Otherwise the song would just be too dark. So you want to have at least a little bit of light, a chink or two of light here and there. And so you could do that by maybe dropping in the major version from time to time as well. All right, so do we have some questions? If we don't, let's get some. Let's get some questions. If you move up with minor thirds, you'll get one more before reaching the C octave. Yep. All right, let's go up there. What's John Coltrane's favorite pizza? I have no idea. Keith says, we appear to be having transmission problems. Really? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Chat is a tiny bit borked. What do you guys mean by the chat is borked? I'm not sure what you guys are talking about there. Let's see. Olive Supreme. John Coltrane's favorite pizza is Olive Supreme. That's funny. I like that. Keith says, weird, the video just started for me. Okay, so just where it says on the live stream, it should be over here somewhere. Should be somewhere just kind of below my finger, where it says live. If you click on that, it will skip you ahead to where we are currently live. Otherwise, you can keep watching if you want, kind of like set back a little bit, and it will play as live, but you won't be actually live. Let's see. Precise Hispanic America is here. Hello, welcome. Glad you're here. Let's see. Greetings from Monterrey, Mexico, my dear colleague. Yes, very big greetings to you. I hope you are having a spectacularly fun day over there in Mexico. I like Mexico. I like Mexican music, actually. You may be surprised to know I actually quite like Mexican music. I have very eclectic, diverse tastes in music, which surprises a lot of people that I like different world musics. Yes, I do. I like some Peruvian music as well, some Peruvian folk music I really like, because it's like ultra melodic and lovely and decorative melodies that are evocative of a much earlier time in music. For me, kind of like there's lots of elements of Baroque, European Baroque music, although, they never met. The Peruvians and the Europeans from the 17th century, they never really met, not much anyway, and they certainly didn't meet to kind of sit down and play music together. But yes, I do like some Peruvian music. C major to E major, second inversion, is that what you're doing? I was, yes. So I was playing root C major. Let's pull the mic this way a little bit again. And then going to second inversion E major. And what that does is that gives you the G sharp. So your melody could be... So yes, I was, going between that second inversion E chord. Yep. Let's hide the mic again. Just Bob says he tapped the like button. Thank you very much. Everybody do the same. Follow Bob's leadership. Please hit that like button. It helps me out tremendously. If you're new, please do hit the subscribe button as well. Helps me out a lot. And I'm heading inexorably, that's the word, inexorably towards 6,000 subscribers. I would like to get there before we get to Easter. And I'm going to try and coincide 3 things together. Easter, 6,000 subscribers, and some new songs that I'm going to release as an EP. Kind of around the same kind of time. That's what I would like to do. I'd like to get the trifecta of loveliness out there. 6,000 subscribers. New music. And I've forgotten the third one already because I'm super duper tired today. But yes, so that's kind of where I'm heading for. So that will be kind of how we celebrate getting to 6,000 subscribers, is I will be putting out an EP. Which you can get for free from my Bandcamp page, or you can pay whatever you want. If you want to pay for it, you can pay for it. If you don't want to pay for it, you don't have to pay for it. That is my policy for all my music. And always has been, actually. I was kind of doing that before it became kind of trendy to do it. Kind of Graham Cochran fairly publicly about 10 or so years ago said, hey, this is how I put out my music. And I was just like, yeah, okay, that's great. Somebody else is doing that. I've been doing that for a wee while. So I put my records out, and you can either get it for free if you want, or you can put some money in there if you want. Kind of up to you. So that's kind of what I'm going to do with my releases, and continue doing my releases going forward. So I don't have a title for my EP yet. I do have some songs that I'm already working on. And I think they're going to be really, really cool. And kind of a little bit different from what you might expect from me. So it's going to be good. Let's see. Some of my favorite chords, these and major 7. Yes, I like major 7ths as well. I think the second chord in Home Sweet Home is E minor. I believe it is, I think. Let's see. Let's see. I'm scrolling through the chat here. It'd be fun to start in A minor, says John Hathwaite. Yeah, you could certainly do it in A minor and have that whole thing going on there. So so if you're doing C minor, so you'd be going. Ooh, that's dark. Let's change the inversion. Yeah, that's still quite dark, isn't it? Yeah, that's pretty dark, John, but I like it. Freebird, yeah, I think that might well be Freebird. Happy birthday. Yes, happy birthday to Billy. Yes, definitely. Dave, yep. Let's scroll down. Neil says, I always thought the live thing was just an indicator. I had no idea it was actually a clickable button. Yes, it is. If, for example, your internet kind of starts dropping packets or something, and so it starts buffering, or the show freezes and it starts buffering a bit, and then it gets restored, you can just click that live button and you'll see the little red bar kind of shimmy across to where we are actually at in real time. It's very cool. If you want a world musician, West musician mass up, David Fanshawe, African Sanctus. I've heard that before, I think. Currently, I'm enjoying the work of Michael League, the bass player from Snarky Puppy, and some of the work he's doing with some very, very interesting bands. He's in about 4 different bands, and they're all really, really diverse and different, and playing some very, very interesting music that's not necessarily, kind of Western or jazz necessarily. And you'd certainly associate Snarky Puppy with jazz. They're kind of jazz and funk, and sort of fusion big band kind of thing. So to see some of the other bands that he's working with and other artists that he's working with, they're creating some very diverse and culturally diverse music, and I'm really, really liking what he's doing. He's writing music in a variety of different cultural styles, not just musical styles, but cultural styles as well. And I'm really liking what he does. Would be really nice to see a keyboard on the bottom of the screen. Yes. There is software that I think I would need to get to be able to have that, and I don't know. I have seen other content creators that do kind of piano stuff where they have that. Now, part of the issue is that this keyboard here would have to be MIDI, and it's not. It does have MIDI ports on it, but I don't use them. This piano here is just audio. It's not MIDI. It just has a line out plugged into my interface. That's it. This one, however, is. So I'd have to do lots of my demonstrations on this keyboard. This keyboard is very old and is beginning to kind of have some mental issues, shall we say, because of its age. It's starting to forget things. So it's beginning to become a problem, but I'm not ready to get rid of the old fella yet because this keyboard and I have been through a lot. So not ready to part ways with it yet or put it into a flight case for retirement. But yes, so that's kind of part of the issue. But yes, I would definitely like to have some kind of keyboard display on the screen so you can actually see literally with no indicators exactly what keys I'm playing. But yes, I don't have that yet. Chris said it's always better if you pay for it, you appreciate it more. There's definitely an argument to be had there for sure with my music. I personally don't want money to be a stumbling block to people accessing my music. So that's kind of why I chose many, many years ago to do that. Now, interestingly enough, since I made that decision, I thought, oh, well, a lot of people are just going to go and grab it for free then, seeing as there is no obligation for them to pay for it. Actually, the opposite started to happen. That took me by surprise initially. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. So what I have found has happened as I've started to release my works on Bandcamp, and there was a platform that Personas had before that called Nimbit, and I did the same there for many years on Nimbit. Nimbit is gone now. It was shut down about 4 years ago. But I was on Nimbit for about 8 or 9 years, and so I thought a lot of people would just buy my music for free or just get it for free, seeing as they can just do that. It's just freely available. They can just download it and they don't have to pay me anything. I found that actually a lot of people would actually just pay. They would pay what they thought it was worth to them. So if they really liked my music, they were prepared to actually pay more than if I was actually just putting a set price on the darn thing. And it worked. I compared how much money I made from doing it that way compared to doing it the old way, where it was just like, I don't know, $5, $6, $7, $8 for a CD. I sold a lot more, and people gave a lot more money than the old way by putting a fixed price on it. A lot more. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just stick with that then. Yes, a lot of people do just go and get my music for free, and that's fine. I don't mind. I don't have an issue with that. I'm happy for people to just take my music and enjoy it for what it is. I have no problem with that at all. But there were people who, you know, would chuck in $25 for one song. I could have charged $1 per song. But I didn't. Made it freely available, or you could pay what you want. And some people were paying like $25 for one song, just because they really liked it, or they really like what I do, and you know, they just want to be, you know, supportive and generous. And so it worked. So that's kind of why I started doing that. I believe Kent Spong could help fix mental keyboards. Maybe, but I think this one may be unfixable for the reason that it's like 31 years old, and I don't even think you can get replacement parts for it anymore. It's an old Yamaha QS300. It was brand spanking new in 1994. Yamaha very kindly let me have the first unit to come into the UK. And I did a little review for a magazine for them in exchange for the keyboard, and I've had it ever since. And I don't think they expected these keyboards to still be working 31 years later, but it does. It's actually pretty amazing that it still works. And it's been run over by a truck. It was in a flight case, and we were loading in after a successful gig one night, and somehow the handbrake got released on the truck as we were loading in, and the truck rolled back over my flight case that had this keyboard in it, and it only suffered some minor damage. The disk drive no longer works. The arm for the disk drive basically just doesn't do anything anymore, so it doesn't read any disks anymore, which is a shame, because I have like disks full of presets and sounds that I had created over the years. Plus it's got an onboard sequencer, and I like sequenced a whole bunch of stuff that we used in live shows, and that doesn't work anymore. So that was a bit of a pain in the butt. But and then one of the sensors behaves a little bit weirdly when you try and play octaves on certain notes. It will not sound the note until you let go of it, and then it will sound it very loudly. But other than that, that's it. The display works. It's a little bit dim, but it still works. And otherwise, it all works beautifully well, and I've used it for making lots of records ever since. But it's a little bit sad. Terashiva's here, and everybody is saying happy birthday to Billy Morgan, and deservedly so. Let's see, where are we at? We've got like 6 minutes left of the show, so if anyone has another question, let's get those in the chat, and I'd be happy to take some more. Neil says, I wonder if somewhere inside your keyboard there is a little round battery cell that is dying but is replaceable, which could make it as good as new. Maybe, I don't know. John says, I think you can just replace the floppy drive with a new part. I probably could. Ron Figueroa says, Nord doesn't have USB MIDI. Yes, not with this keyboard as far as I know. This keyboard does have a USB port, but in the user manual for this one, it says that the USB port is literally for just downloading sound content to the library and updating the firmware. It says nothing about USB over MIDI, so I don't think this particular keyboard does the USB over MIDI. Probably because it predates it. This was launched in 2006. So I think it does predate MIDI over USB. The newer stage pianos, they all do MIDI over USB. This one just has regular MIDI ports. And like I said, I'm not using it that way. So we have a Studio One meetup, which I think is going to be at 8 p.m. Central, I think. 9 p.m. Eastern. Which is going to be like 2 o'clock in the morning for me, which is actually a wee bit on the late side for me. Because I've had a heck of a day. I've been up since like 6 o'clock this morning. Which is not really what I wanted to do. I didn't really want to be up at 6 o'clock this morning, but I kind of had to be for a variety of reasons. So I'm kind of running on fumes, so to speak, at the moment. I'm running on empty. And so probably going to go straight to bed after show, to be honest. If you guys between now and the meetup want to do a Zoom hangout, then by all means, I think that would be a good idea. And if you want to do that, then certainly by all means, put a link to the Zoom in the chat. That would be cool as well. I may be there for a few minutes before I go to bed, but that's probably going to be my limits for tonight. Because I have a very busy day ahead of me tomorrow. So I want to basically be able to not be a grumpy asshole tomorrow. I would prefer not to be a grumpy old git tomorrow. So yeah, I'm not going to hang around very much after showtime. Okay, looks like we don't really have any further questions. Ron says, sorry I created a monster here. I'm not sure that you did. It's fine. I don't see any issues here. My keyboards are just elderly. That's pretty much the story. This is 2006. And then this guy is 1993, the end of 1993. Kind of, I think it was October 1993, I think it was released. And I just haven't bought one since because, you know what, these guys just work. So why change it if it works? So, you know, I have a working system. I have a nice keyboard that does all my piano sounds, my Fender Rhodes sounds, my Wurlitzer sounds, my Hammond organ, my Vox Farcifer. It does all of the organ sounds and piano sounds, electric piano sounds I could want. Plus, it's got a synth on board as well. So if I want a nice analog-y sound synth, I can do that. And it's fully controllable. It's great. And if I want to store the sound, I can store the sound. It's great. And then this guy just does standard MIDI, no problem. Pretty much almost zero latency, to be fair. So I mean, I can demonstrate just, you know, how absurdly low the latency is on this trumpet. So yeah, it's pretty low. It's like, I think it's only about 3, maybe 4 milliseconds. So it's pretty good. Pretty good latency from such an elderly device. I'm pretty happy with it. Alright, folks. Neil says, can you say asshole live on YouTube? I did. I've said it like twice now. So I think you probably can. And this channel is not marked as you know, kind of child friendly. I've never done that for this channel. So I don't think we'll have any issues with that. All right, so with that, folks, I'm going to wish you all a very good night. Thanks very much for joining me tonight and for your questions and for the chat. So I hope that you found that kind of thirds-related stuff fun and easy to get into. And this should be a nice little tool that you can add to your toolkit for songwriting, for composing, and should provide you with some extra tones for melody and some extra sounds and colors and stuff for your music. So I hope it's helpful. And I will see you on Sunday nights for Sunday Night Live. Until then, folks, I wish you all a very good night. Good night.